Welcome, everyone, to the next story. What you are seeing on the screen at this moment are the protesters in Indonesia. Fire and blood have even appeared. It has shown a picture that is not simple at all in the country in the same Southeast Asian region. What is the whole story? Let's explore with us in today's video story. In fact, things have been severe since 3 months ago. On May 22, thousands of people from the provinces flocked to the capital Jakarta to participate in protests against the vote counting results of the 2019 general election. Some protest groups committed extreme actions that caused damage, harm to people, and property. Jakarta Governor Anies Baswedan said that, as of 9 a.m. this morning, 200 victims had been taken to the emergency hospital, and 6 people died during the protest in the capital Jakarta today. The police organized an investigation and autopsy into the cause of death of these people. Victims being treated at the hospital will receive support from the city government. According to a correspondent in Jakarta, on May 21st, a group of people organized a peaceful protest. However, at 9 p.m., when the police asked the crowd to disperse, some extremists incited the crowd to attack the police. Another group burned 11 cars in the Tanah Abang area, central Jakarta. On May 22, the protest continued on a larger scale. Thousands of people gathered in front of the Election Supervision Committee. Some extremists continued to attack the police and cause riots, causing many casualties. Police believe these elements were paid to incite the crowd. Indonesian Police Chief Inspector Muhammad Iqbal said these riots were not spontaneous, but had been prepared in advance. Protests in Jakarta took place after the Indonesian Election Commission announced the results of vote counting, with victory for incumbent President Joko Widodo. This result faced opposition from supporters of his opponent, former Army General Prabowo Subianto, and those who said the election results were fraudulent. Faced with this situation, the police have declared a Level 1 security alert in Jakarta from May 21st to 26th. Things only calmed down temporarily and flared up again in recent days. On August 22, the Indonesian National Assembly opened an emergency session to discuss the revised local election bill, as proposed by a group of parliamentarians supporting President Joko Widodo and his upcoming successor, Defense Minister Prabowo Subianto. Ladies and gentlemen, the move immediately faced criticism, as many people believe that the bill was essentially a measure to block the opposition candidate in Jakarta province from participating in local elections in November, while also paving the way for his youngest son. Mr. Widodo ran for election in Central Java province. Thousands of protesters protesting the bill flooded the streets around the parliament building in Jakarta, some even trying to storm inside to protest the session passing the bill. Police had to use tear gas and water cannons to disperse the crowd, while protesters threw rocks at security forces, blocked roads, burned tires, and pulled down a section of the parliament building's fence. Many large-scale protests also took place across the country, and protesting signs of the formation of political clans in the country. Rising tensions caused the Indonesian parliament to be unable to hold a vote without a sufficient number of parliamentarians participating. The session to amend the local election law could not take place. He added that there will be no further changes to local election laws before this year's provincial election. The crisis was sparked by disagreements between Indonesia's parliament and the country's constitutional court. On August 20, the Indonesian Constitutional Court ruled against the proposal to adjust the age limit for provincial governor candidates. Local election laws from 2016 stipulate that provincial governor candidates must be over 30 years old, but President Jokowi's youngest son, Kaisang Pangarep, who is running for leader of Central Java province, is only 29 years old. After the court refused to adjust the age limit, the Indonesian parliament on August 21st approved an urgent proposal to amend the law that candidates running for provincial governor must be 30 years old at the time of taking office, if elected. The Constitutional Court also adjusted the regulations on the minimum level of local support for individuals for provincial governor, lowering it from 20% to 10% of provincial legislature members. This ruling is in favor of former Jakarta Governor Anies Baswedan, an opponent of President Jokowi, and Defense Minister Prabowo Subianto. Mr. Anies Baswedan is seeking to regain his seat as governor of Jakarta after 2 years of leaving the position to run for president. Still, most parties support Ridwan Kamil, the former governor of West Java, who is considered an ally of Mr. Prabowo Subianto. The Constitutional Court's ruling gives Anies Baswedan a chance to run, but the parliament's proposal to adjust local election laws does not accept this ruling. The moves from the Indonesian parliament, in which parliamentarians supporting Mr. Jokowi and Prabowo make up the majority, have sparked a wave of social discontent and concerns from experts about the constitutional crisis and Mr. Widodo's enormous influence. The Indonesian Constitutional Court in 2023 caused controversy when it created conditions for Mr. Widodo's eldest son, Gibran Rakabuming Raka, the 36-year-old mayor of Surakarta City, to become Mr. Prabowo Subianto's vice presidential candidate, despite lacking for ages compared to regulations. At that time, the Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court, Anwar Usman, Mr. Widodo's brother-in-law, ruled not to lower the age limit, but allowed candidates who held local leadership positions to run for special election. People feel indignant at the prospect of a country having to endure so-called nepotism. Imagine this. A family business that already has many shortcomings sometimes is negatively characterized as unfair favoritism or lack of objectivity. So how scandalous would a country run by nepotism be? Especially if there were people who the people considered to be unqualified to hold that position. Before the harsh reflection of public opinion, Mr. Widodo's office tried to calm the situation. The government hopes that there will be no false information or slander that could cause chaos and violence, spokesman Hazen Nasby told reporters. The president's youngest son, Kaesang Pangarep, is expected to be influential. In November's regional elections, the president's allies have sought to circumvent the 30-year minimum age requirement by making it effective at inauguration. Mr. Kaesang will turn 30 years old in December. Experts say that Indonesian people increasingly lose faith in President Widodo and his efforts to maintain political influence. There is clearly a desire to prolong power, said Ike Idris, a political expert at Monash University's Center for Data and Democracy Studies in Jakarta. In addition, Mr. Widodo was also accused of helping to put his successor, Defense Minister Prabowo Subianto, in the presidential position next October. According to Yos Kenawas, a political expert at Atma Jaya Catholic University in Jakarta, protesters believe that the country's parliament is trying to override the Constitutional Court and block opposition candidates. They are also concerned that Mr. Widodo is paving the way for family members to advance in Indonesian politics. It can be seen that the flames of violent protests are present everywhere in the world, and it is inevitable that life in those places will not be peaceful and happy. And that's how lucky we are that we don't have to go through similar situations. We can still have a peaceful and happy morning drinking a cup of coffee and doing the things we love in peace. Ladies and gentlemen, the above details have also concluded our story video today. Goodbye, and see you again in